Welcome to Beyond Hormones, the Business of Wellness, the podcast for hormone and functional medicine providers who want a thriving, predictably profitable practice and maybe a little less stress along the way. Hi, I'm your host, Jody Lane, and I've worked with lots of clinics in marketing, sales, and business development, and I have seen what works and what doesn't. And here's what I believe. Hormone and wellness care should be available to everyone who wants it. And while providers know the medicine, many struggle with the business side of their cash practice. And that's where I come in. See, this podcast is here to share real strategies, real stories, things you can implement in your practice right away. So I am so glad you're here. Come on, let's go. I want you to get a number in your head before we start, an actual number. So go ahead and pause me if you need to. How much did you spend on marketing last year? All in. Ads, the agency, the events, the lead magnets, the person who runs your social. Whatever that total is, hold on to it. Now, here's the second half. Every single person that money put you in front of, every person who clicked, inquired, showed up, or gave you an email address. What percentage is a patient today? In the clinics I've looked at, it's usually under 10%, which means you paid full price for 100% of those people, and you're currently doing business with fewer than 10 of them. So, where did the other 90 go? They didn't go anywhere. That's the thing. They're still sitting in a spreadsheet or an EMR or an email list that maybe no one has touched since last spring. While you go spend more money to find brand new strangers who've never heard your name before to get into another list. And that is what today is about. Not new leads, old ones. The people who already know who you are, who already trusted you enough to hand over an email address, who sat in your consult room or walked into your event and then just drifted. I'm going to walk you through exactly who those people are, why they're so easy to forget, and 3 ways to start the conversation without spending $1 on marketing. And then I'm going to do some math with you that I think is going to change how you hear the word automation. Hey guys, welcome back to Beyond Hormones. This is episode 5 of 6 in our Marketing Gap series. And honestly, this might be the one that pays itself the fastest. This is for you if you have ever looked at your marketing budget and thought, there has got to be a cheaper way to grow than this. There is. And it's already sitting in your current database. Out of sight, out of mind. Just sit with that phrase for a minute before we get into anything tactical, because I think it's the motto of our entire era. Information is coming at us so fast, from so many directions, that our brains have basically given up on holding anything that isn't directly in front of us right now. All right, let me confess something. I am in a personal relationship with an app on my phone. It's the Reminder app. And the funny thing is that it's free. It came with my phone. I didn't choose it. I didn't research it. I didn't pay a dime for it. But if that app disappeared tomorrow, I am absolutely not sure how it would function. You know what people say about me all the time? They say, Jody, she remembers everything. It makes me laugh. But I do. I remember birthdays. I'm the person who actually calls back the next day when I say I'm going to call back. If my husband mentions that we need something from the grocery store, it goes on a list and it is purchased the next time we go to the grocery store. People genuinely think that I have some kind of superhuman memory. I do not. I have an app. If you take that app away, I couldn't do a darn thing. I rely on it completely for everything. And I bet you have your version of it too. Maybe it's a notebook. Maybe it's a whiteboard. Maybe it's a spouse who keeps track of everything for you. But if you've got something, and if you're one of those people who genuinely mean it every time you make a promise and then somehow never really deliver, I don't think that's a character flaw. I think you just never built your version of my app. That's it. And it might be costing you friendships or tolerance from your spouse or trust from your kids. Now, I am not here to fix your personal life. But I am absolutely here to talk about how this exact thing is happening inside your business right now and what it's costing you. Because in your practice, out of sight and out of mind is not only a problem with your memory, it's more about what is showing up in your revenue every single month. So let's do 3 things today. Let's talk about what are these forgotten opportunities, why they disappear so easily, and what you actually can do about it. All right, so who are these people who represent your forgotten opportunities? Well, there's a whole laundry list, and I want you to actually think about each and every one, because I guarantee you're going to recognize at least 3, if not all of them, from your own practice. The first one, prospects you attract through some marketing effort but never became patients. You paid for them. Facebook ad, Google ad, a lead magnet, a referral partner, whatever it was. Money left your account to put you in front of that person. They raised their hand and then very little, but they're still on some list somewhere. All right, number 2, patients you used to see who canceled. Now, I want to be really clear here because clinic owners tend to assume the worst about cancels. Most people do not leave because they're genuinely unhappy with your care. They leave because they moved, or their financial situation changed, or life just got loud for a couple of months, or they meant to reschedule and then all of a sudden it was March. All right, number 3, long-term patients. Now, we've talked about in this series about dating your patients, but here's the problem with long-timers. You're not dating them anymore. You've been married so long, you're coming up on your golden anniversary, and you haven't done anything intentional for them in many, many years. But they're still paying you, and they're getting nothing that makes them feel chosen. Number 4, referrals. Somebody sat in your consult room or follow-up appointment and said, "Oh my gosh, you've got to talk to my friend. She totally needs this." And you meant it when you said that you would, but where did that name go? Be honest with me. Where is it? All right, last one, number 5, event attendees. You did a seminar, you did a happy hour. People showed up, which means they got in a car, gave up an evening, and physically came to see you. And then they didn't book, and you didn't do much follow-up. And you have no idea what they're doing now. Now, here's the common thread. Every single one of these people has already given you something. It's attention or money or time or trust or a referral. They're not cold. They're warm but neglected. And that is a completely different thing. Maybe you have a system you use for staying in touch, but only lasts a few weeks and then quietly stops. And now those people are sitting in a list collecting dust. That's what we're fixing today, without spending $1 on new marketing. Hey listeners, for all of you who've been following the podcast for a while, you know how deeply I care about helping hormone clinics create an incredible experience for your patients while also building a practice that you truly love. So if you don't mind, I want to pause for just a quick minute and share something that I think every provider and clinic owner needs to consider. When a new patient starts hormone treatment, you already know that their personal results take time. You explain what they can expect along the way. You answer their questions to help them understand that everyone's experience and timeline can be different. But once that patient leaves your office, doubt can show up much faster than their results do. They may begin wondering if they made the right decision or question whether what they're experiencing is normal. And they may forget the things you carefully explained to them during their appointment. And if that happens, and the only communications they receive from you afterwards are appointment reminders or payment notices or promotions to other services you have, that uncertainty they're feeling will continue to grow in the silence. That is one of the reasons we built Practice Automation System. See, it helps your clinic consistently deliver education and communications that nurture your first-year patients between appointments, helping set expectations, remind them about setting their goals, and asking for feedback around how things are going. It doesn't replace the relationship you have with your patients. It helps you to continue to grow that relationship even when they are not sitting directly in front of you. If you would like to know more about this and the 19 other campaigns that you get on day one, let's schedule a demo so you can see just how Practice Automation System works. Go ahead and go to acceleratedmedicalpractices.com/demo. That's acceleratedmedicalpractices.com/demo. All right, let's get back to the episode. All right, first question. Where do those people actually live for you? Do you have Excel spreadsheets? Are they inside of an EMR? Do you actually have a CRM, a customer relationship management system, that you've been storing them in? Is there an email list floating around from a platform you stopped using? I obviously can't answer that for you, but while you're listening, I want you to start jotting down these 5 categories. Remember what they are: prospects, canceled patients, long-time patients, referrals, and event attendees. And ask honestly, could I build a list for each of these? Even if it's just a spreadsheet, even if it's ugly, because you can't reactivate people that you can't find. But here's what I want you to start thinking about and doing in the future. I want you to start thinking about tags. Now, this one matters more than it sounds like it does. See, tags have been standard in software for 15, 20 years, and most clinics still aren't using them. But a tag is nothing more than a label. That's it. You attach a label to a person so you can find that group of people later. Let me give you an example so that you really can see this. Let's just say that you have 1,000 patients in your EMR. And I call you up and I say, all right, I need you to pull a list of everybody on pellets, everyone on creams, and everybody on injections. 3 separate lists right now. Could you do it easily? For most of you, the answer is no. Not without somebody spending a day or 2 on it, going through some of the appointment types and things like that. But if those patients had been tagged from day 1, that is a 30-second job. So what should you be tagging? Current patient, canceled patient, prospective patient, and inside prospective patient, where did they come from? Which campaign? Was it the website? Was it a lead magnet? Was it a referral? Tag the events people attended by event name. One thing some people get wrong is getting that you are not sorting people all into one individual box. No, a person can carry 10 tags. Somebody can be a current patient, a hormone happy hour attendee, a referral source, on pellets all at once. Tags aren't folders, they're labels, and you can stack them. One more thing, and this is a preference that I will defend till my grave. If you're using your EMR as your only database, you can technically do this, but I don't recommend it. Specifically, I don't recommend putting prospective patients who never become patients into your EMR at all. That's not what it's there for. You want to use a real CRM. Here at AMP, we use Go High Level and Keep, and that's what we build our practice automation systems in. But whatever you pick, the tags need to live there, not in your EMR. All right, let's go to part 2. How do you actually reopen these conversations? Because here's the awkward reality. If somebody hasn't heard from you in like 2 years and then you email them out of the blue with an offer, that's just weird. Everybody can feel that. It reads as, I need money this quarter, and so I thought I would reach back out. So I want to give you 2 levels, generic first and then specific. The first level, generic. The easiest thing you can possibly do is start a newsletter. If you don't already have one, this is my number 1 recommendation, and it's the lowest barrier to entry in this entire episode. Just do a newsletter once or twice a month. But here's the key. It's not about your clinic. It's not. It's not a promo. It's genuinely interesting content for a person who cares about their health. It's things like recipes and blog articles, what's happening in the industry, a study that came out. Everybody understands a newsletter. Nobody finds it strange to receive one, and it's a completely non-threatening way to reappear in someone's inbox. And then you just pay attention. Who's opening? Who's clicking? What are they clicking on? That data you didn't have last month, and it costs you nothing but the writing. All right, level 2. Still generic, but more intentional. Host an event. In person or online, it doesn't matter. Make it a teaching topic in an area of wellness that lines up with your practice. A new study on hormone benefits. Maybe it's peptides. There is so much going on with peptides right now. Weight loss, if that's part of what you do. And here is why this works. See, if somebody hasn't spoken to you in 18 months, but then they show up to your event, that tells you something enormous. The interest is still there. They just needed a reason that wasn't a sales call to get in touch. And then there's the third option, which is running an offer. And I need to spend a minute on this because I definitely have opinions. I'm not a big fan of discounting, especially in a hormone clinic or a wellness practice. I think it's usually the wrong lever, and here's why. When you discount, what you're actually communicating is, I'm willing to drop my price in order to get you as a patient. That's the message. It's not, we're generous or we value you. It's, my price was negotiable and you caught me needing patients. And three things happen. One, if you do this too often, you literally train your patients to wait for the deal. Once somebody learns your practice runs discounts often, they're probably not going to pay full price without wondering if they should have waited to get the deal. And you've taught them that. My classic example of this is me. There is this great 80s cover band that Jamie and I love to go see at the Hard Rock Live. I used to buy tickets the day they came out so I wouldn't miss it. Then they started selling their tickets on Groupon. Now I get notices to buy tickets the day they go on sale, but I know they're going to be on Groupon for a few weeks before the show, so I wait. I never would have done that had they not trained me to look for the deal. All right, the second reason I'm not a big fan of discounts, you reposition yourself. You stop being the practice known for skill, results, and patient experience, and you start being the cheaper option. And that is a very hard reputation to walk back. And last, and this is the one most people forget, the money's just gone. You handed over a profit margin and got nothing tangible in return. Now, is there an exception? Yes, of course. There's an exception to everything. What I'm against is making discounts a habit. So here is what I would do instead. It's value add. Same money, completely different message. Let's make this a little more concrete. Let's just say that your hormone program is $1,750 and you want to bring somebody back who's canceled or a prospect who never started. Your instinct might be to say, I'll take $250 off. Don't do that. Instead, when you come back within the first 6 months with us, we're going to give you a facial or 10% off a different service or a basket of supplements or 3 bottles of DHEA, whatever adds up to $250 of real value from things you already offer. It's the same cost to you, but now look at what's changed. The patient isn't being trained to hunt for deals. They're getting more care, not cheaper care. They're going to get a better clinical result because of the additional support. They're going to be happier. They're going to associate that good feeling with walking into your practice. And you spent the same $250 and bought a better outcome, a better experience, and a better position in the market. I would take that trade every single time. All right, now let's say you want to put real energy into this. Here's what I would do if I were running your practice. I would take every one of those segments and build a separate multi-touch campaign for each one, written specifically to who that person is and what they've already done with you. Because people just respond better to being recognized. Generic messages get deleted, specific messages get read. Let me show you the difference. Take patient reactivation. Someone was on your roster and canceled. First, filter, if you're an in-person clinic, people who moved away. Don't waste the campaign on them. Now write to the rest specifically. You used to be a patient here at clinic name, and we would genuinely love to have you back in our family. For the next few weeks, we're inviting our past patients to come back and try, insert some cool new service, product, or thing. And because we want to welcome you back properly, we would love to treat you to a facial, 3 months of B12 shots, and our core supplement pack to get you through your first 30 days. Do you hear how different that is from 20% off if you book now? That's a person talking to a person. Now let's take event attendees. Completely different message because they've done a completely different thing. The message is, we were so glad you came to Hormone Happy Hour last year. We hope you walked away with real information about what hormone optimization could do for your life. Maybe you've since gone somewhere else and you're already on hormones. And if so, that's wonderful. We're genuinely glad. But maybe you haven't taken that next step. If you reach out in the next 14 days and schedule a consultation, we would love to send you home with a bottle of melatonin because we know how important sleep really is. Same practice, same goal, totally different message because they're totally different people. And that's the whole idea. Specific reason, specific message, specific person. Now, existing patients, the long timers, I could do an entire episode just on retention. And that is what the last episode, the fourth biggest gap in marketing, was all about. So if you haven't already listened to it, I definitely recommend that you go back and you listen. Everyone needs to start somewhere. So let's start with one thing, a patient anniversary campaign. See, almost everybody does birthdays, and I'm not telling you not to do birthdays because I am 100% a birthday person. Celebrating birthdays is like basically my love language. But when your birthday rolls around and acknowledgments coming from everywhere, it feels great. But that's exactly the point. They're getting acknowledged from everywhere. You're one voice in a crowd. So try this instead. Acknowledge them on the anniversary of the day they started treatment with you. Think about what that actually was. That was the day they decided to stop feeling crummy, the day they chose to change their health. That is a genuine, significant day in that person's life. And nobody acknowledges it. Not one person, not their spouse, not their mother, not their best friend, because nobody else knows. It's sitting in your EMR right now. So set up an automated email and text that goes out on that day. Acknowledge what they did. Send a small gift, nothing extravagant. The gesture is the whole thing. Say we're just really glad that you're part of this practice. And you know what? You could take it one step further. Trigger a task to your staff so somebody can look up when that patient's next appointment is and put a note on it. Mention their anniversary when they come in. Now, that's not an automated text. It's a real human saying it to their face while they're in the room. Almost no clinics do this, except for the ones who have practice automation system, because it's one of the first campaigns that we provide when you sign up with us. Oh, and by the way, I just want to say again, the thing that keeps coming up across all 6 of these episodes, it is dramatically cheaper and more profitable to keep the patients you have year after year than to lose them and have to go buy replacements. So don't put your existing patients last because you're chasing someone new. Okay, now let's talk about how you actually do all this, because you can do every single thing today I described by hand. Spreadsheets, a Google Calendar, sticky notes, a very organized front desk person, it's all possible. But there's just no reason for that. And I want to put real math to this because I think most people run this calculation backwards. Let's say you're going to build a system that re-engages every segment we talked about today, plus a few retention campaigns. Get the CRM, set it up properly, write the campaigns, build the logic, map the automation. Let's call that 60 hours of work. And I'm being a little conservative because 60 hours may be a little shy. Now let's look at the manual version. Let's be generous and say you only spend 2 hours a week keeping track of who needs a follow-up, who's due for a check-in, who came into the event and never called back. 2 hours a week is 104 hours a year. So everyone in year 1, the system wins. 60 versus 104, you break even around week 30, about 7 months in. Year 2, the system costs you 0 hours. The manual version costs you another 104 hours. By the end of year 3, you've spent 60 total hours if you built the system. The clinic that does it by hand spent 312 hours. That's a 252-hour difference. 6.5 full weeks of work. And if you're paying someone $20 an hour to do that tracking, that's about $5,000 more spent for a worse result. But here's the second cost, and it's actually a bigger one. The manual version, it often stops happening. Not because your people are lazy, but just because it's a Tuesday and there's a patient in room 3. That's it. That's the whole reason. I see this everywhere, not just in wellness, in businesses of all kind. That which must be done manually eventually just stops getting done. And I want to point out one more thing because people sometimes miss this. The hard part of this isn't the software. The hard part is the thinking, deciding who gets a touch and when what the message says, how it goes out, when staff gets alerted. That work has to happen whether you automate it or not. So automating doesn't add work. It just means that the work you already did keeps running without you. Is this starting to make sense? Because now I'm about to get on my soapbox for a minute, and I'm not going to apologize for it because this is the thing I care most about in this entire business. I want your clinic to be so well automated that your patients feel served and supported and communicated with without any of it eating into your schedule. That's it. That's the whole goal. And we built a system for this. Yes, I've been talking about it a lot during this series, but I'm going to do that. It's called the Practice Automation System. And here's the honest history of it. We built the very first version for ourselves inside our own clinic in Orlando years ago in the CRM system called Keep. All the campaigns, all the messages from scratch because we needed it. And then after we started Accelerated Medical Practices, it took us about 18 months to turn it into something we could hand it to you. Not because it was hard to copy, because we went back and we looked at every metric, every result, and rebuilt every part of it to make sure that it was perfect. What you get now out of the box in under 30 days is 20 campaigns, lead capture, lead follow-up, lead conversion, and a whole stack of patient retention campaigns that keep your existing patients engaged, happy, and loyal. Oh, and every month you get a new one. We ask our clients what's still missing from their system, and then we go build it using what we know about this industry and about, of course, sales and marketing. And there's also a community where you can talk to other practitioners, ask questions, and get to the AMP team around the clock. So here's my honest position. Everything I've told you to do today, you can totally, 100% do yourself. All of it. You do not need us, but you don't have to because we already did it. So if you want to take a look at it, go to acceleratedmedicalpractices.com/automation. You can see the whole thing, and of course, you can book a demo with me. All right, let me leave you with one final thought. In business, we are trained to focus almost entirely on getting attention. How do we get the brand out there? How do we get noticed? How do we get more leads? How do we get people to pick us instead of the clinic down the road? And I want to be clear, none of that is wrong. You do need attention. You do need brand awareness. You do need new leads coming in, or you're never going to grow. What's wrong is when that is the only focus. Because everything we've talked about across these 5 episodes points to the same thing. Attention is the beginning of the job, not the whole job. Nurturing somebody from interested to committed, that deserves your focus. Continuing to date, communicating with, and inspiring the patients you already have so they stay for years. That deserves your focus. The leads coming in the front door get all the attention. The people already inside your practice and the ones who almost came in get none. And that is backwards. So that's episode 5. We have one left in this series and it's coming out next Thursday. Next time we're getting into the difference between your systems for marketing and your systems for medicine, and quite honestly, the entire reason we built the practice automation system in the first place. And I know you're going to love it. And I know you're going to learn a lot. And by the time you finish with the 6th episode, you're going to be a marketing expert. And I hope that everything you're learning, you're able to put into practice in your own business. And I hope to see you next Thursday. Thank you for listening to Beyond Hormones, the business of wellness. I hope that you're walking away with fresh ideas and real strategies you can use to grow your practice with profit and purpose. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow the show so you never miss a conversation. And if something you heard today resonated with you, do me a favor, share this episode with a friend or a colleague. It's one of the best ways you can support the show, and it might be exactly what they need to hear right now. If you want even more tools and support, go ahead and head over to acceleratedmedicalpractices.com. Until next time, keep doing the work that matters. Your patients need you, and I am cheering you along every step of the way.